Hi guys, I'm Ruby May and welcome back to The Shed. I'm here with Mark Smutz, manager, promoter and lecturer. Welcome to The Shed, Mark.
Hi Ruby, great
Lovely
to see you.
have you here. Thank you very much for coming on. Can I just kind of start with how your journey into music started? How did it all begin for you?
Well, about 100 years ago, funny enough, around the time that John Lennon died, I got in my first band at school.
Okay.
Which was around about 1980.
What was it called?
It was called Fusion. Such an 80s name.
Yeah, it is very. And then what was the next step from there?
Well, I was in and out of bands up until I was 30.
Yeah.
And then at the age of 30, I got fired from my last band due to the old musical differences.
Okay.
And a friend took me to commiserate in a pub and introduced me to the lead singer of a punk band called Ricky Valentine. And the band was Black Couch.
Okay.
He spent the next 3 months convincing me that I'd be really good at managing his band. And
would you, or did he just want you to?
I have no idea.
Back then.
28 years later, that's what my life has been. So
I guess he had
Ricky
a good
was onto
idea.
something.
Yeah. So you started managing them, or did you? And that was the first band you ever managed.
Yeah.
How do you think your managing styles changed from then till now? I mean, massively, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was a baptism of fire. They were a quite raucous punk band. It was the 90s, a very different landscape from now. We had no websites or internet.
Yeah.
We didn't have social
Had
media.
to kind of do it yourself a bit
It
more.
was all about mailing lists and gigging. And building a strong mailing list. So,
did you used to put like CDs in envelopes and sort it under people's doors?
You know, we weren't even at the CD stage. We were at tape cassettes.
Oh my goodness!
And I had no aspiration to be a manager, but I'd had a couple of sales jobs after I came out of the Air Force.
Okay.
And
How
so
old
I knew
were you
about
when you
selling.
came out of the Air Force?
I was 27.
Okay, so quite like going later on in your career.
Yeah.
So you only got into music around your 30s?
Oh no, I mean I'd been in bands all the time.
But actually
managing didn't happen until I was 30. Off the back of the Black Couch project, we did a World Cup project, which ironically back then, I mean it was England playing the World Cup, but the project was English Pride. It was a song called "Have Another Beer." And I managed the project and was kind of in the band, and we got signed by EMI.
So you managed it and you were in the band as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got signed by EMI. FIFA flew us out to Germany to play at the England-Sweden game.
Oh my God.
It was the biggest gig of our lives.
I didn't ever know that you were in a band.
Alan Ball, the England footballer, was our sponsor.
That's so fun.
It was quite a trip.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And off the back of that, a lot of people started getting in touch, wanting to know who managed the project.
And that was you.
And yeah.
And was that like your first big project that you kind of managed yourself?
Yeah, I would say that was the biggest impact, with lots of TV and radio and.
Was it scary?
No, it's absolutely wonderful. It wasn't scary at all.
But you had no idea really how to do it other than having your sales experience.
Yeah.
So it was just take a leap.
Just selling. Yeah.
Okay.
Passion.
What do you think yeah, I think that's music though, isn't it, really?
Uh-huh.
And what do you think the biggest thing that you've kind of learned and adapted over the last few years is with your skills in managing?
The biggest thing, gosh. It is, and this is something I'd say to people starting out. People always go, "Oh, I haven't got the experience." The thing that will get you there isn't the experience, it's passion.
Yeah.
If you're passionate and you love what you do and you do the work and you take opportunities, the experience will come and more opportunity will show up.
And do you think that's how you did it? You just kept showing how passionate you were and kept working and kept working.
Yeah. And if anything, my lack of knowledge and my lack of finances made me more resourceful.
Yeah.
So we had to find different ways of doing things.
Have you got any examples?
I remember getting a Chinese restaurant to sponsor a whole tour for a band I worked with in Southampton called the Lugakensky.
That's so random.
One of the guys, the lead singer Ben, used to do covers gigs on Saturday nights, and the owner of Dragon Palace Restaurant, Southampton, if it's still there, loved him. And we needed to do an acoustic tour of the UK, and we needed about $3,000.
And he sponsored it.
He did. I just sold him a dream of sponsored by the Dragon Palace Restaurant on the side of our van, on our flyers, on our social media, on every interview we did, and he bought into the prestige, if you like, of being able to say, I helped do that. And he wrote the check there and then. you know, I've been really fortunate to work with people I love, with music I love, and
have you worked with people that you haven't loved?
No,
you wouldn't do it.
It's super. Again, life's too short.
Yeah,
You know, life's too short, and it's really hard to sell something that you aren't 100% committed to. And also, the job of a manager is all encompassing, and it kind of is a 24/7 thing. So if you're going to work with something, you better love it, or
otherwise you'll just be miserable.
You know, you're going to be miserable.
Do you think there's anyone in the industry that you would have liked to have worked with? Not just artists.
That's a really good question. I've been so lucky to work with people I adored working with.
You've also met and been in the same rooms as a lot of people.
You know, so I kind of, there's no one on my bucket list that I wish
that you had.
You know, I either have or already am working with everybody.
I feel like you've really pushed your career to the depths of where you wanted to the limits. So every project that you could be involved in, you are. If you had to say 5 top skills that any manager would need to be a successful manager, what do you think they would be?
Persistence.
Yeah, but then I think that's just an industry thing.
Tenacity.
I like that word.
Calm. Whilst being passionate.
Yeah.
You have to be passionate, but you also have to be able to be calm. I'm very emotional, which isn't necessarily, for a lot of people, a big skill, but it's something that's helped carry me through to do what I've done.
In terms of being able to build that relationship and connection with the people you work with.
Yeah. How many did I do? That was only like 4, wasn't it?
I think it was 4.
And you kind of, you have to really long-term plan. Be busy, you know, be busy, be at gigs, be at networking events, be at festivals, be at conferences, have subscriptions to all the key platforms, you know, Chartmetric, Complete Music Update, Music Business Worldwide, Digital Music News, all of these subscriptions, Music Week. So you've got your finger to the pulse, you know what's going on, but being out there in the scene
is actually better sometimes.
And obviously, from my own point of view, the fact that I teach at a music university helps keep my finger on the pulse and keeps reflecting back to me a lot of very young people's ideas and opinions, which I find hugely important.
Do you ever scout talent at uni? Do you ever or do you try and
I'm not allowed to.
Are you not?
I'm not allowed to. Obviously, I will keep an eye on people and I will offer advice and mentor.
Are you allowed to say who you've kept an eye
on? I'm currently been mentoring Elba Rose. And also pardon?
Are they at uni?
They were, and they're not there now. And also
Sophia Ford.
Yeah. You know, and past industry luminaries now.
Yeah. What do you think has massively changed with your position in the industry?
As in being a manager?
As in being a manager.
I mean, you know, back in the day, as a manager, if you could build a 400 strong mailing list or more, and you had a great act.
And that entailed like record labels.
And you could sell out venues. Okay. You could get a record deal and you could walk people into quite large advances and everyone could do all right. Unfortunately, a lot of those things vanished over the last 20 years, particularly the development side of the industry. So most investors, sponsors and labels are looking, not all, are looking for a finished product. They're looking for something that's already got an audience, so that it's a no-brainer from their point of view.
Do you think it's built up around that idea of that viral hit?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And do you think people have to go viral to be signed now?
They have to have a footprint.
Yeah,
you know?
Following.
And if they indeed even want to be signed, you know, lots of artists I work with are still fully independent,
wanting to be DIY,
and they're quite happy and successful. And
are any of your artists very much wanting to just be DIY artists?
It very much changes on their circumstances. Most of the people I'm working with at the moment are completely independent. Doesn't mean they would always stay that way. They might sign, they might do licensing, but
does it massively change the way that you manage whether or not an artist is wanting to actively be signed or hoping to just
not
kind
particularly.
of do it on their own?
I mean, it's about doing the work. You know, if you do the work, people will show up, and when you've done the work and people show up, you have options.
How hands-on are you with your managing style? Or are you more like, these are your tasks, go off and do them, come back and we'll reevaluate?
I'm pretty hands-on,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it depends who you're working with. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm fortunate that most of the people I work with creatively already have a complete sense of themselves,
Yeah.
and without
Kind of their brand and their image
without
and what they want to be putting out.
obviously I'm biased, but I work with Simmons, incredible songwriter and artist, incredible writer, promoter in his own right. I work with Will and the People, again, incredible artists, got their own sense of themselves. So creatively with those guys, there's very little I could steer them on, and that's great. So it's purely about making sure our strategy's right and that we're maximising on every opportunity we can, making their lives as sustainable as possible. Everyone needs to put food on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you kind of balance that line between becoming too over the top with your managing style, but not being there enough? Do you know what I mean?
I guess that comes with experience.
Yeah.
That is something that you at the start you might not know.
Yeah.
Don't
know when you've crossed that line either.
But it is depending on where you're starting with an artist. If they're starting out, it can be all encompassing. You are everything from the van driver to their shoulder to cry on. So you find your way through that, and you find your balance.
Do you think it's difficult kind of finding the balance in that intensity?
It can be, depending on what's happening. I mean, if you're the hardest times really is the most successful, because that happens when you have a piece of success. It happens so quickly, and it's such a whirlwind. It's quite hard to keep everybody's feet on the ground and everybody focused on
the
still being
goal.
proactive rather than just doing the yes no, which happens when you start getting lots of offers.
How do you think you've dealt with your artists when they have started to get bigger and maybe it has started to get a bit more spinning out of control?
Something we always recommend is counselling.
Okay.
Nothing too heavy. Just having a weekly check-in with someone.
And that's not necessarily you, but actually
no, that would be a professional.
It
would recommend a professional, and I know many artists benefit from that, just to keep themselves in check. Make sure that.
Do you do that with all of the?
Yeah,
we do that
with everyone.
I think that's probably a really good idea, considering the market that it is now and how intense it is for people's mental health. Is there anything within your career that you think you would have done differently if you could redo it?
Maybe looked a little closer at Ed Sheeran's demo when he came here. Bless him. No. Gosh, I'll be honest. I don't have a massive amount of regrets. I've loved my. That sounds really final, doesn't it? I've loved my life. I'm hoping to have more.
I'm checking out now.
I don't really have the energy for being too retrospective on stuff. I'm more interested in what we're doing today.
You can actively be
doing.
And
what we're doing tomorrow. I still feel there's a whole load of amazing things to do.
In music or outside of music?
Everywhere, in everything.
And what advice would you give to anybody wanting to become a manager?
Oh dear. There are easier ways to earn a living. Lots easier, but there is nothing from my perspective as rewarding, as exciting, as thrilling, as memorable as doing it. But it's not for the faint-hearted. It takes a pound of flesh, and there really are easier ways to earn a lot more money. But if you want a life that, for me, is never full of regrets and just full of these joyous memories, then it's wonderful.
Do you think it is just actively doing things and reaching and pushing and trying different people?
It's in that reach and that stretch, and forever being surrounded by younger people. It keeps your zest for life. Do
you think being a lecturer and being surrounded by new people coming into the industry is kind of inspired you?
Well, that's very similar to most of the acts I ever work with are aged from 18 to sort of 24. So, obviously teaching students.
Do you feel like a bit like a parent sometimes?
I do now.
Yeah.
Now I'm a grandfather. I I didn't years ago,
Mm.
obviously. But yeah, I do a little bit now. I feel a big responsibility to them. Yeah.
To your artists and to
And my students.
Do you enjoy being a lecturer?
I love, but I can't tell you how much I love being a lecturer.
Why did you start doing it?
Because someone asked me.
Really?
I had no intention.
People just ask you to do things
I had
and you're
no
like, yes, I'll do it.
intention.
You just say yes, don't you? I feel like that's your thing. You just say yes to things.
Do you know what? It's that's half the battle, saying yes. Yeah.
Probably a good thing though, because you've had so many
whatever opportunity I've ever taken, it may not have been the one that took us where we wanted to take it, but it opened up another door that took us on another one. So it's where someone said to me a long time ago, when you're on at death's door at your last minute, it won't be the things that you did that you'll regret. It will be the things that you didn't. So within reason,
do everything.
Take every opportunity.
Do you feel like you've done that with your career?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have any memories that you really like look back on from throughout your career?
A lot. That would.
Any that you can tell
us? I mean, the World Cup thing
was pretty cool.
The World Cup thing. I saw a news piece saying that the FIFA team were going to have a dinner in a restaurant in Liverpool after the England-Paraguay game. So I got the band in a car. We drove to Liverpool. I met my friend with a camera and a lighting gear, and we busted into this restaurant and we sang a German version of an English football song live in the restaurant. 3 days later, we were signed by EMI in Germany, and FIFA flew us out to play at the World Cup. So that was a kind of light bulb moment. Do this crazy thing, get noticed, and the rest.
Do you think that's a style you've taken in your managing? Just kind of do the extraordinary, catch people's attention. Would you say Passenger's the biggest person that you've worked with?
That I've worked with? Probably. Mike and I are very old friends. I used to help out a lot back in the early days when he was a skinny little busker.
What was it like when it first started?
Well,
exciting.
He was. I mean, he was exciting from the moment I met him. But it was quite a long journey for him, busking and what have you. Although he was doing incredibly well with the busking, until obviously the big breakthrough worldwide hit of Let It Go.
Let It Go. And then who signed him after that?
He's still independent.
Really?
Yeah, he did licensing deals.
I'm quite surprised by that. So he never properly signed to a label.
No.
Fair play. That's good on him. Yeah. And what do you think the biggest lesson you've learned with your career is?
Don't give up.
Don't give up. I like that. And that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Don't give up.
And just keep trying.
I mean, yeah, I could probably answer that question for hours on the biggest lesson, but yeah, just
don't give up. Just keep going.
If this is what you want, it's just hard enough to separate it from those people who think they want it, from those who are prepared to actually do what it takes. And it exacts a pound of flesh. And if you're willing to let that happen, then there is, if you're good as well, you need to be good in the first place. Your craft, your art, in whatever area. But if you commit, it'll happen.
When you're a lecturer at uni, do you ever kind of look at people and you think, you'll make it, you won't?
Honestly?
Yeah.
We can't help that.
No,
you can't help that. And to be fair as well, people surprise me.
Yeah.
Especially as I get to watch their journey from first year student to graduating.
Because you do get to teach across the board, doesn't it?
You taught me, and it's such a formative time for that age. And I'm fully aware now, having done 6-7 years at BIM, how dramatically an 18-year-old can have changed by the time they're 21.
Massively.
I mean, I've seen people come in who wouldn't even look me in the eye in the first couple of lessons, to people who are formidable now.
Quite an incredible experience.
It's wonderfully a rewarding experience. Wonderful.
That's so exciting that you kind of get to really see the new creatives step in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very privileged to do that.
And for artists, what advice would you give to them wanting to be signed or hoping to be signed?
Do the work. Forget wanting to be signed. Forget looking for a manager. Forget looking for a label. Forget looking for a booking agent. Do the work, and all those people will show up.
And when you say do the work, you mean gig and try and keep gigging.
Connect, collaborate, plan, work. If you don't know how to do it, find people that will give you some advice.
You've got some good tips on networking. Can you give us
Go
those
talk
tips?
to people, say hello. It's really simple.
But it's simple for us because we're able to go and do that. But for people who are a bit nervous or aren't necessarily,
And my advice to them is get over it. Seriously,
fair.
the courage isn't the absence of fear.
Mm.
It's doing it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm naturally quite introvert and shy. But because I do a confident thing, people confuse that with me being super confident. I'm not. I have my Superman suit on. You know, I've got my Superman suit on now to do this interview. I struggle asking someone for directions in the street.
Really?
However, when I'm in permission zone,
you're in Mark mode.
You do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because you
confidence is a myth. It's a myth put there to hold people back and for people to use as a crutch. You know, you just doing a confident thing is not the same as being confident. And then the more you do it, the more natural it appears, and then you're less fearful.
Do you think just do it, just start doing it, and the more that you do it.
And here's the thing: fail. Be prepared to fail.
Yeah.
And then fail better.
I think that's the thing.
That's so huge.
You learn so much from it.
Success, as lovely as it is, doesn't really teach you much.
No.
You know.
Because you just get what you want.
Most people are like, what the hell just happened? That name drop that song. But it's your failures that you learn from, and they're the ones that give you your fire. And you're like, that's right. I'm not going to let that happen again. I'm going to use that as fuel now, rather than be sorry about it. You know.
But that's the people that make it in the industry.
For me, I didn't get what I want. No, now I know what I've got to do to get
what you want. And when you're looking, I know you just said forget about being signed, When you are looking at an artist and you are thinking, okay, I'd quite like to manage you, or I like your music, what key things are you kind of looking at before you approach them?
Oh well, that's again great question. It's just that gut feeling.
Do you think it always comes down to that, though?
That's really hard to describe. So the initial thing is the gut feeling.
Yeah.
If it stops me, if it moves me, if I can dance, think, feel, or all three to what they're doing, then I'll look further. Yeah. And looking further might be just checking them out online.
And is that massively what it is now? What is their following?
Yeah.
What are their
streams? Not necessarily their following. Just checking them out as in how they are. Like, what do they look like? What are their songs like?
Okay. So in terms of image.
And you know, for most managers, they've got bills to pay. So if they've got a footprint, then a lot of the work's done. So, you know, if you find someone who's amazing but has got nothing going on, then it's like, have I got the time and the energy to take another?
Do you sometimes leave it and think, okay, I'll come back?
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll bookmark it. Or if it's something that I'm just absolutely compelled by, I go, what the hell, I'm going to do it again.
Is there anyone that you've seen recently that you've had that gut feeling?
That gut feeling? I'll be honest. I've been so busy with the projects that I've been on. I wasn't necessarily looking when Wavy crossed my bow, but I've seen some live acts who are kind of already on their way. Who I thought were amazing.
Over the Great Escape, were you kind of?
I was. Traps, punk band called Traps, absolutely phenomenal. Local Brighton Worthing band. Definitely check them out. Bands that are already kind of on their way. We Are Ida. I've heard of them. They're incredible. Who did I see recently in Brighton?
Have you seen the Beach House sessions before? I didn't know that was a thing until recently. I have to send it to you. It's like a little beach hut, and they just do loads of little session musicians in there all the time, and they just do bands and different things.
Sounds really cool.
I'll send it to you. It's kind of like the Shed, but they just play instead of.
Can't be as cool as the Shed, surely.
It doesn't look as cool inside. It's a lot more funded, let's say. And I'm actually coming on to my final questions for you now. I've asked you who you're currently working with. Is there anybody else that you're currently working with?
That I can reveal at this point, other than the Hero Voice Quiet.
Oh yeah, you haven't actually said anything about that.
Have I not?
Are you allowed to say anything about
that? I can say that I'm working with them. Yeah. Did I not mention we're in the final of Britain's Got Talent?
I don't think you did actually record it. Yeah.
Okay, we put a project together for the sub postmasters, bless them, victims of the horrendous Horizon scandal. We taught 40 traumatised people to sing individually online with my colleague Faye Streak.
Via Zoom calls as well.
Yeah, from BIM, and we entered with Will and the People's songs, and Will Rendell fronting the main vocal. We did our audition in Blackpool back in January. We got 4 yeses. We went through to the
What was it
live.
like being on Britain's Got Talent?
Nuts.
It's a bit
Really
random.
nuts.
You just
Really
watch
random.
it from
I have a
home.
newfound respect for the production and the team behind them, because they handle everything, including welfare, incredibly well. Considering the amount of people they've got and the cases they've got, we've got a lot of people who've been seriously damaged mentally and physically, and the care in all aspects has been exemplary, absolutely exemplary. So we got through to the live semi-finals last Sunday night at Hammersmith Apollo, and we are now we're now in the final next Saturday, 31st of May.
Oh my goodness! Everybody watch it and vote. How exciting!
Yes, please. Let's get these postmasters their compensation, because in
that's
spite of what you hear in the news, the government has only paid 80% of the 2% that they've offered. The 2% of the recommended. It's
just shocking.
Yeah, get them the money back.
How exciting though! At least you're doing something that is
it's a great privilege. Great privilege.
And what do you think the biggest change in the industry is going to be in the next 5 years?
Well, everything is AI.
Yeah.
But I see a light on the horizon.
With AI?
Yeah, with AI.
I mean, you love AI, so.
Here's the thing. With a degree, I don't relish the idea of a computer in creating art. No. However, there'll be a market for it. We'll see 3 tiers of art emerge in the next couple of years, and that will be generative, assistive, what I like to call Amish.
Okay.
Which, if anyone knows, the Amish are a religious culture in America who decided in about 1865 that we've got just the right amount of technology as we are. And what that's going to mean is there will be an absolute hunger and need for people to seek out real music that was created real and performed real, which means a number of things. Because the generative and the assistive is going to be so good, the biggest issue we've had of late is that every Tom, Dick and Harry could fill the internet with noise all day long, because the bar to producing music and releasing it is so low now that everybody does it, and that's great,
and anyone can do it.
However, it has created a wall of noise and a thing we call the tyranny of choice. And I firmly believe that within that, you've got lots of dedicated people who are really trying to craft wonderful music. You've also got a lot of chances. I think AI will remove the chances.
It will kind of solo the good people out.
And the people who are real artists and creative and devoted to their art will now have a chance to rise. So I do believe that there is some positive news on the AI horizon. So hang in there, kids.
Do you think it will massively change genres and the way that different music?
I honestly think there'll be new genres coming from
out.
It. You know,
I think if you, like you've just said, that there's going to be people craving that real music. I think it's either going to be punk music massively.
It's a bit like people buying,
dance.
Buying healthy or dolphin-free tuna.
Yeah.
You know, this music contains no AI. That kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to.
And they'll have to have stamps for it. It will. I think legally, the way that it is going, it kind of has to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's just going to be so many.
We need to sort out globally and particularly in the UK at the moment. We need to sort out the copyright.
Yeah.
Regarding it.
But it is a thing that is actively being worked on. I mean, probably not quick enough.
Not quick enough.
In any way, shape, or form. But I think it's definitely something that needs to be actively changed.
Needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Who are we listening to at the moment? That's my last question.
Gosh, I'm at that point where I'm listening to mixes of my own artists.
Okay.
So
it's just everything that I've done in the industry.
No,
not
old stuff, but stuff we're working on. So,
okay.
So we're trying to put a charity record out. So we're listening to lots of mixes of the songs that we've been singing in Britain's Got Talent. I'm listening to lots of Chris Simmons mixes for the songs we've got coming. I'm listening to dance versions of songs. So it's all very sort of in-house. I haven't had much relax time.
So not just get a bit of a headache sometimes.
Not really, because it's important.
I guess you're
And
actively like you're thinking about
yeah,
what that music's going to be, and not just sat there
yeah.
like enjoying it to listen to it.
I've got the best job in the world, so I'm hugely lucky and privileged. So, um, you know, it's hard to view it as work. It is work, but it's hard to view it as work. But that's kind of where my head's at the moment. It's all in whilst learning my parts for the next live performance.
That's all of my questions.
It's been wonderful.
Have you
Thank you,
got a
Ruby.
question for me though? This is something I do. I don't know if you've seen this, but
I didn't know you were going to do this.
yeah,
I've got a
no,
question
sorry.
for you.
Have you got a question for me?
What's been the best part of the last 3 years at university for you?
Haha. Becoming your mentor. No, you becoming my mentor. Me mentoring you.
Oh, the student becomes the teacher.
Yeah,
I love
pretty
that.
much.
I love that.
Yeah, it actually probably has been.
I'll give you a $5 later. Bless you.
You've opened a lot of doors for me, Mark. So yeah, it probably has been.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You deserve it.
Thank you. Well, that's the end of this one, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for coming on. Our special guest, Mark Smutz. And that's the end of it. Thank you very much. If you've liked this one, give us a little follow and a subscribe and comment down below. Bye, guys.